Hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. On the Ethereum chart, we've seen a deep pullback over the last few days. Obviously, since basically this pullback started on Wednesday last week, we've seen quite a sharp pullback in what I would consider a three-wave structure in an ABC pattern. We talked about that into our support region. And this support region is defined or was defined between 2,975 to $3,519, 3,520 plus minus, $1 or $2, whatever, depending on the exchange. That's not so important in a volatile market, but we've had this nice and green candle here yesterday as a reaction, which was definitely needed because honestly, the bulls, were getting challenged here, and any sustained break below 2,975, as I suggested before, would most likely lead to making this chart not impulsive, removing the impulsive potential from the chart. That would be the problem, because then we would be dealing with, instead of my count here, which is a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3, a wave 4, and a wave 5 and an impulse, we would probably be dealing with an ABC structure to the upside. And that would allow for the blue wave 3, even though that's not really long enough. But then we would have to prepare for a much deeper pullback in wave 4, because we're dealing with a diagonal in which even wave 4 could overlap with wave 1. Okay, so it would make the entire chart less reliable. When we're dealing with a chart, we like to see impulsive patterns. They are the most reliable. That would be the white count. The blue count is a diagonal pattern. And when this chart moves, or should this chart move and morph from a impulse into a diagonal structure, then it will become something that will be unreliable and much more difficult to track, and also much more difficult to trade. And it would be at best a diagonal. I mean, it can always have topped in three waves and come down again. So really important. I cannot stress the importance enough of this $2,975 level. So therefore, it's good that we've seen a reaction there. Now let's go to the smaller time frame, because we need to now figure out, is it a low of wave 4 already in, which to be honest would be really good for ETH, because if ETH breaks below that level, as I said, we are getting some challenges here. So what I would like to see to maintain the perspective here that something more bullish is unfolding and that we're holding support, which we're doing at the moment, but to maintain that perspective, I either need to see a fifth wave to the upside right now and break eventually, into the high 4K region and so on. Definitely a break above last week's high, or at least the ABC structure here in yellow, which would mean that the move down into this week's low was just an A wave of a larger waveform. But then I need to see a healthy B wave. I mean, what do I mean with that? A strong B wave. I mentioned that if we see a reaction, it would most likely be strong, and the B wave should have quite good upside momentum. So I don't mind which one it is in the yellow count, and I prefer that for Bitcoin. For ETH, to be honest, the thing is the fourth wave came down low enough. So it's just that if we see that ABC structure, which I think is probable because fourth waves tend to extend, they tend to extend. So I would say I would focus on that primarily, at least work on the assumption that we will retest the orange support region. If not, good as well. I mean, the orange zone is eventually the zone where one can look for entries. But if you want to wait for further confirmation, you have to wait for the next 5-wave move to the upside, followed by the subsequent 3-wave pullback. So either way, I need to see a healthy B wave, because if not, and if the B wave is weak, then the C wave might run out of space eventually and break support. Let's go to the smaller time frame. Essentially, what we're looking for is evidence that the fourth wave completed. How can we identify this evidence? Well, it would be a 5-wave move to the upside on the smaller time frame. At least that would help. And this is here the zone. You see here that this wave 4 possibly bottomed there yesterday, or it was just the A wave low. We don't know that at this stage. You see in the yellow count that we have here the ABC structure in yellow. So that is the scenario in which we could see a more extended ABC. So even that could move up higher, which would be preferred, because if not, then we're likely breaking support. So what I don't want to see at this stage is a break below yesterday's low, because then we will most likely break below support. However, it's either now a larger ABC I'm looking at, I'm watching for, or even a direct breakout pattern. The first step for this direct breakout pattern to the upside is the 5-wave move. See that fill in. I shared, I think in my last video yesterday with you here, this potential target range for yellow wave C. And yellow wave C was, let's say, supposed to reach this area between 3,507 and 3,744, and that has been reached. But it's only in 3 waves at the moment. So I need to see normally, the third wave minimally should reach the 1.236 extension. You could argue that was reached, but I would be more convinced if this wave 3 reaches the 1.38 extension at 3,651, then we need to hold a wave 4 low and then one more high, possibly to 3,745 or more in 5 waves. Until I see that, I give advantage to the yellow count. It's very simple. So those are the parameters. In this white count, the 3,360 level needs to hold. Any break below that level would mean that we are either in the yellow count, or something even more bearish. Okay, that's basically for anybody who's looking for something bullish, a break below 3,360 will be a significant warning, because that would indicate that the impulsive count that could be developing in white is most likely not unfolding. It could still be a diagonal, all sorts of stuff. The bottom line is, until I see a 5-wave pattern to the upside, I have to give the yellow count preference. But even in the yellow count, we were watching for a bounce, right, from this region here. It actually came down a little lower than I wanted, but still in the support region. So it needed to give us a bounce there. And even in the yellow count, we would see a B-wave pullback at some point. And then once we see that, we can then calculate the target for this C wave to the upside. Then we can do that when we have the A wave in place, the B wave in place, then we can calculate the target for wave C. Yeah, that's my update at the moment about ETH. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.